Let's start off by discussing the political landscape of the Netherlands. The Netherlands government is a constitutional monarchy that is made up of four separate branches: the monarch, the parliament, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. King Willem-Alexander represents the monarchy, and he was inaugurated in April of 2013. He is the official head of state, but has very limited power within the government. Mark Rutte is currently the Prime Minister of the Netherlands and represents the head of the executive branch of the Dutch government. The executive branch is made up of a cabinet of ministers and state secretaries that are responsible for the annual budget and initiating laws and policies, among other duties. From there, the laws are passed on to Parliament, which is a bicameral legislature known as the States General and is made up of two chambers, the Senate and the House of Representatives. They represent the people and are charged with deciding on laws initiated by the cabinet. Netherlands' political status is considered free, with a freedom rating of 1 according to Freedom House's 2015 scores. Historically, the Netherlands' political freedom aggregate score on a scale of 0 to 100 has been slightly below the U.S. According to the Worldwide Governance Indicators, the Netherlands outranks the United States in every category. These indicators are shown the last 20 years and are all scored on a scale of -2.5 weak to +2.5 strong performance. Voice and accountability is a measure of the extent the citizens are able to participate in their government, as well as a measure of the freedom of expression and media. On the political stability and violence and terrorism indicator, you can see the impact of 9/11 in 2001, but since then has recovered. Overall, the Netherlands government performs well in the remaining metrics, including high government effectiveness, little corruption, strong rule of law, and high regulatory standards. From here, let's move on to the economic analysis of the Netherlands and take a look at the shape of the Dutch economy. When first looking at the economy of another country, it's important to look at the degree of freedom in the economy. The Heritage Foundation's Index of Economic Freedom ranked the Netherlands similar to the U.S., with a 2016 score of 74.6 compared to the 75.4 of the U.S. Overall, they ranked the Netherlands as 16th freest economy worldwide, which takes into account rule of law, regulatory efficiency, limited government, and degree of open markets. Government spending remains a concern, with their public debt over 65% of their GDP. The Dutch economy was hit hard by the 2008 financial crisis, but has rebounded with solid growth in the last 8 years. Today, it is a center of international commerce, and important business sectors include tourism, manufacturing, technology, and agriculture. The current GDP is $752 billion compared to $17.9 trillion of the U.S. The GDP is growing at an annual rate of 2%, which is comparable to the current U.S. rate at 2.4%. The GNI per capita PPP for 2015 was 48,500 compared to the U.S. of 56,300. Unemployment rates are moderate at 6.9%, and inflation is low at 0.6% for 2015. The Netherlands was one of the founding members of the EU and therefore utilizes the euro as its currency, which currently trades at 1 euro to 1.1175 US dollars. Foreign direct investments are lower when compared to the U.S., both in terms of yearly inflow and outflow, and in terms of FDI inward and outward stock. Inflows for 2015 totaled $68.3 billion, and outflows for the year totaled $56 billion. The top trading partners with the Netherlands are primarily within the EU. The major current imports for the Netherlands include machines and engines, oil, electronic equipment, pharmaceuticals, and medical equipment. Top importing countries are Germany, Belgium, Russia, China, and the U.S. The top 5 exports are oil, electronic equipment, machines and engines, vehicles, and pharmaceuticals. Top exporting countries are Germany, Belgium, the UK, France, and Italy. A couple observations over the last 50 years when comparing the top imports and exports from 1964 to 2014 is how major oil and petroleum products have become for the Netherlands, as well as the decline of construction materials and textiles.
Let's take a look at the social aspect of the Netherlands. The national language of the Netherlands is Dutch, with English being the second most common language. Although the municipality of Amsterdam acknowledges English as an official language, it is at a lower status compared to Dutch. The largest religion practiced in the Netherlands is Roman Catholic, with as much as 28% of the populace identifying themselves as such, followed by a Protestant at 19%. While 58% of the population associates with religion. 42% do not have any religious affiliation. Now, looking at the Hofstede Index, a comparison between the Netherlands and the U.S., you can see the two countries ranked similarly on all but two categories, which are masculinity and long-term orientation. Masculinity represents the preference in society for achievement, assertiveness, and material success, indicating that society at large is more competitive. While on the opposing end, femininity represents cooperation, modesty, and quality of life, indication that society is conscious-oriented. The Netherlands scored 14 on this dimension, meaning their culture is a feminine society. The other big difference is the long-term orientation dimension. A high score in said dimension shows the culture takes a more pragmatic approach, which encourages thriftiness and efforts in modern education as a way to prepare for the future, while a low score shows a tradition-oriented society that casts suspicion on societal change. The Netherlands scored high with 67, meaning the people tend to have a pragmatic nature and show an ability to adapt to changing conditions in order to achieve results. Trompenaars measures of the Netherlands are similar to that of the United States, with the exception of achieve versus ascribe status being higher in the U.S. This particular dimension focuses on how personal status is assigned. While some societies attribute status on the basis of performance, others attribute it to categories such as gender, age, education, etc. With a score of 54, the Netherlands have a tendency to attribute people higher status because of who they are as opposed to what they have done.
Now we will discuss the technological context of the PESTEL analysis of the Netherlands. The Netherlands is one of the most connected countries in the world, with over 96% of their households being connected to the internet. This trend has been on an upward climb over the past 4 years and has continued to climb from 91% in 2012 to 96% in 2016. The Dutch also have nearly 16.2 million internet users, ranking number 5 in the world behind Luxembourg. Research and development is also very important to the Dutch, and they have slowly been increasing their spending over the last 6 years. After the 2008 Great Recession, the Netherlands had lowered its R&D spend to 1.65% of gross domestic product. By 2012, the Netherlands had increased their R&D spend to 1.9% of GDP. The goal of the Netherlands is to increase their total R&D spend to 2.5% of GDP. If the Netherlands were to achieve this goal, they would be among the top in the globe of R&D spending. The scientific and technical journal articles written in the Netherlands has not increased by a substantial margin compared to the United States. However, since the year 2000, they have nearly doubled the number of articles written from 17,260 to 30,410 in 2013. This is important as the Netherlands need to continue to increase these written articles if they expect to continue to be a player in research and development market. This is the same story for the patent applications over the last 2 decades. In the Netherlands, patent applications have remained practically flat over that period. The Dutch are consistent but have not kept pace with the United States, who have dramatically increased the number of patents filed over the last decade. Now let's move on to the environment.
The Netherlands experience impacts to air and river quality due to the high levels of industrialization. On top of that, the Netherlands face a large inflow of pollution through its rivers from neighboring countries due to its geographical position. With half of the country lying 1 meter below sea level and an eighth lying below sea level, the rise in CO2 emissions and climate change don't help the already bleak situation as they contribute to the rise in sea level. The government has taken steps to counteract the problem by attempting to decrease energy consumption and increase renewable energy use, such as biofuels. While the long-term options are viable, the Netherlands have begun to implement various strategies like the ban placed on giving out plastic bags in the marketplace, unless the situation permits, which was enacted on January 1st, 2016, and also creating environmental zones to keep high-polluting lorries out of certain areas. The Yale Environmental Performance Index ranks the Netherlands 36th overall out of a possible 180, with its highest indicator water resources coming in second. The most notable increase for the Netherlands would be in air quality, while the most notable decrease would be in fisheries. Air quality increased from rank 169 in 2006 to 136 in 2016. which can be attributed to the multitude of actions spurred by the government to decrease pollution and also the looming EU fines if air quality is not remedied. Fisheries, on the other hand, have decreased from rank 110 in 2006 to 119 in 2016. This decrease is caused by an increase of water temperature of the North Sea, lakes, river estuaries, and the changing transitions between salt and fresh water due to sea level rise and changes in river discharges in summer and winter. In comparison, the United States is ranked 26th overall and ranked higher in 6 out of the 9 categories.
Legal systems. The Netherlands' legal system was influenced by Roman law and is a civil law country. Civil law is a system based on written laws and codes, which is more restrictive than common law. However, it is deemed less controversial than common law. The Netherlands is comprised of 11 separate districts. Each of these districts has their own court. There are 4 courts of appeal, including the main courts of appeal, Central Appeals Tribunal Trade, Industry Appeals Tribunal, and the Administrative Jurisdiction Division of the Council of State. Similar to the United States, the Supreme Court of the Netherlands is the highest ranking and overarching court. It is charged with ensuring that lower courts followed the letter of the law when reaching decisions. The Supreme Court hears both civil and criminal cases. Since 2007, the Netherlands has ranked consistently higher than the United States in the International Property Rights Index. In addition, the Netherlands ranks higher in legal and political and intellectual rights as compared to the United States. On average, over the last several years, the Netherlands has maintained a higher average ranking of 8.4 on the legal and political environmental scale as compared to the United States at 7.2. Furthermore, the Netherlands ranks significantly higher than the United States for judicial independence, political stability, and control of corruption. Overall, physical property rights rankings has consistently been on the decline for both the Netherlands and the United States. Since 2007, the Netherlands rankings has decreased from 8.6 to 7.1 in 2015. The United States has seen a lesser but still significant rate decrease from 8.0 to 7.2 in the same time period. Protection of physical property and registering property rights remain higher in the Netherlands than in the United States. However, both countries have low access to loan rankings. Between 2007 and 2015, the Netherlands has maintained a consistent ranking between 8.2 and 8.4 for intellectual property rights, just less than the United States average ranking during the same time frame. Protection of intellectual property rights and copyright protection rankings are 7.8 and 7.5 respectively, while patent protection is a very high 9.3.
Now we will briefly cover the SWOT analysis for the Netherlands. As we've referenced many strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the Netherlands, I will be covering one of each. One of the main strengths of the Netherlands is they are leaders in technology and innovation. Over the last decade, the Netherlands has increased their R&D spend to just shy of 2% of their GDP. The Netherlands' goal is to increase their R&D spend to 2.5% of their GDP. A weakness of the Netherlands has to do with the focus on their trade with countries inside of the European Union. Due to the lack of trade diversity, the Netherlands is closely tied with the economies of the European Union countries. The main opportunity the Netherlands has to improve on is their continued focus on innovation through research and development. Like mentioned earlier, if the Netherlands increased their total R&D spend to 2.5% of their GDP, they would be among the top nations spending money on research and development. The greatest threat to the Netherlands is that most of their country is below sea level. Without continued research and development and continued work on their extensive seawall technology and dikes, they could find themselves underwater. In conclusion, the Netherlands is one of the greatest developed countries in the world and will continue to lead the world in technology and innovation.